Welcome back to Disciple Parenting. This is a community we're building where we can learn how to better disciple our children and bring them to Jesus. If you have not subscribed, I invite you to do that now. Now, the point of disciple parenting, of course, is bringing kids into a saving relationship with Jesus. But that's easier said than done. I mean, how many of us know of people who were fantastic parents who somehow their kids made a choice other than a relationship with Jesus? Working with kids here, I see it over and over again. And we've also seen it in our own families. Even if we're talking about our own kids or our siblings. So how do we equip people for that saving relationship with Jesus Christ? We're going to have a 4-video series that is going to unpack this at age-appropriate levels. It is developmentally appropriate and just kind of going through, hey, at different ages, these are the things you can focus on with the ultimate goal of discipling your kids. This is not 100% science, of course, because each one of your kids has the ability to choose for him or herself. But that being said, let's get into it. The first step is teaching your kids how to connect, how to have that personal relationship. And this is geared for youngest children. From birth to age 9, this is your primary goal. Introducing them to a saving relationship, introducing them how to love Jesus. And this isn't rocket science. We know how to have relationships. But I want to talk it over just one more time so that we're thinking it through from this perspective. So, our goal in introducing our kids to Jesus is, of course, that long-term relationship. And relationships are all built on communication. So prayer and Bible study are going to be important, but I want us to be intentional as we're teaching them how to do these things. For instance, with prayer, it's so easy to have your kid just say the same prayer over and over again. It's kind of like the rut they fall into. Like they figure out a prayer that works and they will say that every meal. And they'll have probably a different one for bedtime, and it's the exact same prayer over and over again. So how do you teach them how to pray in a way that they're talking as though to a friend? I mean, that's your goal. It's a relationship. And so one of the things that we've discovered here that helps kind of escape out of that rut and helps them think through their prayers is prayer requests. Talking a little bit before we pray about the things we want to pray about so that we're priming them and they're processing and they're thinking through and they're entering into that conversation thoughtfully. Teaching them how to pray, teaching them what to pray for. We pray when we're happy. We pray when we're sad. We pray when we need something. We pray when we're thankful. We pray in every circumstance. It's appropriate to pray. And so teaching them all of those different things so that they're continually praying and they grow up depending on that prayer life. Bible study. Now, you might say, my 3-year-old can't read yet. And thank goodness, because if your 3-year-old could read, it'd make me feel a little bit bad about my 3-year-old. But how do you teach your young child how to have a Bible study? Well, first of all, if you're wanting them to have a relationship, this is the foundation. So going through and reading them Bible stories. But as they grow older, you go a little bit deeper with those Bible stories. Start teaching them how to ask questions out of the Bible. Who? Who was in this story? Where? Where did this story happen? What were the events that led up to it? What was the result of this? How? How do we see Jesus shining through this story? And that sometimes gets a little bit rough for stories. But I want you to wrestle through teaching them how to actually dig into the Word and study it. Because if we're talking about a relationship, we can't just keep it at surface level. We want to teach them how to really get into the Bible and study it for themselves. And so as you're reading the stories with them, this is where you start equipping them with those tools they need for that personal relationship as they get older and start getting into it more themselves. Another way that we can connect with God is nature. Taking your kids, getting them outside, playing in the yard, but also going on hikes, going camping, all of these things equip them for that relationship. It's another place to connect with God. So, what does this look like for your child? The beautiful thing is we know children at this age, relationships make sense to them. They long for relationships. We know as parents, this is where we build that foundation for our relationship for years to come. And it's important to spend time with kids at this age, as much time as possible. But if it's important for us, how much more important is it to make sure we're introducing them to Jesus as much as possible at every twist and turn at this age? But if the ultimate goal is a relationship, then let's be honest, and we've talked about it on this channel before, and we're probably going to talk about it again. Teaching relationships is different than teaching anything else, and because we teach relationships through modeling. The relationship I have with my wife, I learned how to have that relationship by seeing other relationships in my life, seeing the way my parents interacted with each other, seeing the way other couples work together. I learned what worked and what didn't. And we pick up the good, the bad, and the ugly. But if we want to teach our children how to have a relationship with Jesus, we've got to model that for them as well. They need to see us in prayer. They need to see us in the Bible. They need to see us out in nature. They need to see us having a vibrant, active relationship with Jesus Christ. So they know this is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. And that they want that for themselves. So, at this stage in development, I want you to be intentional and find ways to connect your child to the Maker of all things. Connect your child to Jesus Christ.